Yeah. Okay, shall we go? Yeah. I read your book and it was very interesting and insightful and provocative, and but I'm a little bit surprised that you were a world-class economist. Yeah. So every other economist, I guess, doesn't say like you. Yeah.
I think economists don't think very much about luck most of the
Yeah.
time, but
Yeah.
I think if you asked economists
Uh-huh.
to think of examples where luck was important in their own lives, they
Uh-huh.
would be able to think of examples.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about successful
Uh-huh.
people generally. If you remind them that they were lucky, they get angry and defensive. But if you ask them if they can remember examples of times when they were lucky, then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
interesting to them.
Yeah.
They like to think back and they
Yeah.
like to tell you about examples of times when they were lucky.
Actually, I major in economics in college, and from my memory, economics is about mix of sociology and mathematics. Yeah, but we can't calculate love. I mean,
Yeah, we can predict many things,
yeah, yeah.
but in the biggest markets, the ones where the prizes are the biggest, many people compete, and the ones who have a chance to win, they're all very good, and they all work very hard. It's very difficult to predict
Yeah,
which
yeah,
one
right,
will
right,
win.
yeah, yeah.
But what we can say, or what I feel I can say after studying this problem, is that whoever wins,
Yeah.
he'll be good, he'll be talented, he'll be hardworking, but he'll also be very lucky. If he weren't very lucky, somebody who was just as good as he was would have won instead.
I mean, you don't underestimate the talent.
No, of course not. No, it's very important.
Very
Yeah,
important,
and so it's really not such a different story. It's
Yeah.
just that talent and hard work are necessary for success, but they're not sufficient.
yeah, sufficient. Right. What were other economists' reaction to your claim? Is luck is playing a crucial role in the world's outcomes?
Oh, I
They may be
I think-
upset or incomfortable, right?
Most economists don't pay any attention to my claims at all.
Yeah.
So they don't get angry. They're not happy. They just don't read the book. They don't care. But the ones who read the book, I think mostly they think the claims are reasonable. How could you not think these claims are reasonable? They seem obviously true.
Do you have any friends to agree with your claim?
Do I have any friends who don't
Yeah.
believe my claim?
Believe
Oh,
among
yeah.
economists.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who? Daniel Kahneman or something?
Uh,
Something like that?
Oh, yeah, I think most of my friends would believe these claims.
Are they economists?
Yeah, many of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising. But anyway, economists cannot predict success, right?
Well, we can't predict who will succeed.
Who will succeed?
We
How?
we cannot predict who will succeed.
It cannot. Yeah.
We can predict who will not succeed.
Not,
If you're not
Yeah,
talented
yeah.
and you don't work hard, you won't succeed.
right.
So we can predict that. But the people who do succeed, they're all talented and they all work hard, or almost all.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to
yeah. One's ability and effort to have the number 4 question on success. How much are they important? Is there a lot ratio of the influence of merit versus luck?
Well, how can you say? I mean, if they're necessary, then of course they're very important. But you might have 10 finalists in the contest, and they're almost equal in terms of talent and work.
Equal.
Almost equal. They all work
Could we
hard.
say that luck is twice as important as merit, or like something like that?
No, I don't think that's the way to understand the phenomenon. the example I use in the book, did you read the appendix
Yeah.
about the tournament?
Totally, yeah.
So luck counts for 2% in that tournament. 2%.
2%.
And when we see who wins the tournament, it's almost always one of the most lucky ones. Somebody with the 90th percentile of luck. So without luck, you don't win. So how important is luck? It's very important. But the other two are without talent, you don't win either. Without effort, you don't win.
Oh, right. And it's, but okay, you have been very successful as a scholar, and in the book, and you said you have a big house, right?
I have a big house.
Yeah.
Well, not by American standards.
Really?
It's a nice house.
And would you attribute a number 5 question and how much percent of your success to luck?
Oh, I think for me,
Yeah.
much more than average
Really?
depended on luck. Yeah, no, as I describe in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, many strange things happened.
Yeah.
If any one of those things
tenure
didn't
comedy,
happen, then
tennis match.
so you do I have a big house? Wait a minute. I have a picture I just took. That's
I don't
my-
know, but just yeah, it's not that big.
That's my house. It's not so big.
Yeah,
Why did you think I had a big house?
because it's written in your book.
A big. I have,
You have a big house comparing to other.
no. I say compared to people in Nepal,
Oh.
it's very big. But compared to people here, no, not so much. It's normal.
Sorry, but I think you're too modest and too humble.
What does it mean to be too modest?
To underestimate you too much.
That sounds like it would be better to be less modest. You think so?
Yeah.
You think it would be better to be less modest?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're famous and a lot of books. You have written a lot of books and they all it's such a best-selling books or something like that. And
You know, if I didn't get my job here when I started, I don't have a single book. You know, I would go to some other school where they don't care if you write or you don't. And probably I don't have any books then. So
I think there's some. Do you agree that there is some genius or natural born talent guy and excellent people? They don't need any luck. I think.
well, I once asked somebody, are there people who are so good that luck doesn't matter at all? They would have succeeded no matter what.
Yeah.
And for me, if I had to think of an example that might be true for, I would say, well, the Beatles.
Beatles.
They were the most influential music group in history, much more influential than Beethoven and Brahms than Bach. Much by the quantitative measures of how much influence they have on other musicians and on the people, they're far ahead of anybody. And I thought, well, they're so good they would have succeeded no matter what happened. But then I had dinner in New York one night with a record industry executive, and he said, no. He said, if any of these 5 things hadn't happened, you would never have heard of the Beatles. They had a long engagement in Hamburg, Germany, where they played 12 hours a day in a dirty bar. And when they started that, they weren't any good. But if you play 12 hours a day for 2 months together, you get much better. You know, and most groups don't have a chance to do that. The first producer that they had was somebody who had never produced any music records. He was producing comedy records. And he didn't want to work with him, but he said, oh, the hell with it, he'll give it a chance to it. So he said, if any of those things don't happen, we never hear of the Beatles.
You can explain all the success by law.
No, of course not. No,
Not, of course not.
Everyone who succeeds
Yeah.
was lucky along the way, but that doesn't mean that they weren't good. They most people who succeed are very good.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah. Question number 6 is so luck is an important driving force behind any success, but most people do not realize it. It's mainly because they want to think they deserve the success, or because it's hard for humans.
So suppose you succeed, and now you're 50 years old, and you ask yourself, why did I succeed? Well, the natural thing is to look for examples in your memory of things that happened that would make you more likely to succeed. And the standard narrative about success is that you need talent and hard work. And if you succeeded, almost certainly you have talent and you did work hard. So you can think of every day you came in early, every day you stayed late. You remember all those things. Every day you solved a difficult problem. Every day you had to compete with somebody who was very good and you beat him. So all those things are very available in your memory when you're building your life story for yourself, and you can think of those, and they fit very, very comfortably into a story of why you succeeded. Maybe you had a teacher when you were 15 who kept you out of trouble. You forgot about that. Maybe the first promotion you got on your job, there was a colleague who was more qualified than you, but he couldn't accept the promotion because his mother was sick. He had to stay back and take care of her. So those things aren't so readily available in your memory. So when you're making your story, why did I succeed? You remember the hard work and the difficult problems you solved. The lucky things, you don't remember those. And as you mentioned, tailwinds, that's another factor. When you're riding your bicycle into the wind, you're very conscious that you're battling an obstacle and you don't like it. You think about it every minute. But when you turn and go back the other way, the wind's at your back. You like that at first, but then you don't even notice it. So generally in life, people notice the obstacles that they have to confront and overcome. Those are very, very visible in your vision. The things that are helping you, you don't notice those.
Why don't you go to number 7?
Okay.
Question? Yeah. I heard about attribution bias, which is about how people tend to attribute the patterns. Actually, my wife is a professor at the university, and she said students already do that.
Yeah, it's very common. We have a narrative. Why do people succeed? Because they work hard and they're talented.
Yeah.
And so, of course, people would have a tendency to attribute their success to that. Students are no different. They're the same as others. What does your wife think? Does she think she was lucky too?
Yeah, a little bit, but she thinks she's not successful yet. But anyway, she has a job and some decent job, and she thinks she has a long way to go.
Yeah.
Further.
Well,
Yeah.
so that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, and if she believes that she's more likely to get where she wants to go if she works hard, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your earlier books, Luxury People and Winner Takes It All Society. I think you want to say about inequalities, right? In those books.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're fundamentally about income
Yeah.
inequality.
Yeah. But it's number 9. Many people believe in inequalities are inevitable in capitalist society. What do you think about that?
If we do nothing, then there will be enormous inequality in the marketplace.
Yeah.
That was our theme. Philip Cook and I wrote the winner-take-all society. If you leave the market alone, the technology today lets you, if you're good, you can serve almost the whole world market. If you're the best designer, Johnny Ive is the best designer in the world.
Yeah, right.
Now he can design products for everybody in the world. It used to be if you were the best designer, you would be the best designer for people in Ithaca. But that's a very small prize.
Yeah.
Now the prize is huge. So if you just let the market decide who gets what, then the person who's the best at what he or she does gets a huge prize because that person is so valuable. If you hire that person rather than the second best person, you sell the whhole market.
Yeah.
Why do we listen to the second best singer if we could listen to the best singer? It costs the same to make copies of their music. We should listen to the best. So even if the best is just a little better, he gets an enormously bigger reward. And so,
You think it's not fair?
well, it's not fair, I believe, but it's very difficult to argue about fair. You know,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
get into big arguments quickly about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I try to stress is that it's not necessary. People would work hard even if they didn't get that much more. So we would get the same good quality even if we didn't pay the winner so much. And if the winner paid more of his winnings in taxes, the winner could live better. Because, you know, once you have 50,000 square feet, going to 60,000 square feet doesn't matter. You know, if everybody at the top builds a little bigger, then that just becomes the new normal, and nobody gets any happier than before. And instead, we don't have enough money to fix the roads, to have good schools for kids. It's much better, much more efficient if the rich contribute a bigger share of what they get in the market to pay for those things that help others have a chance to live well.
Are you saying that the government matters?
Yeah. These are things that we can't do individually. You know, people say to Warren Buffett, if you think the tax rate's too low, why don't you just give money to the government yourself? But that's not the point. He can't fix all the roads and fix all the schools. We all have to chip in to do that.
And a little bit political question. What do you think about Trump? They reduce tax and
He's a colossal mistake, basically.
it's a mistake.
Yeah, he's unqualified in every way to do the job that he's in.
But this creating more jobs and unemployment rate is down since Trump election.
That process was well underway since 2009.
Oh, really?
Obama created many more jobs per year
Not
than
thanks
Trump.
to Trump.
And it keeps going by inertia. Now the stock market is going down. There are signs that the interest rate yield curve has become inverted. That's the usual first sign of a coming recession. So he did nothing to claim credit for the success of the economy.
I think the U.S. economy is booming now, and I think it is good time to implement your progress consumption tax.
Yeah, now would be a good time to do that. Yeah, I agree.
Why don't you suggest?
I've suggested it many times.
Yeah.
You read the book. I suggested in the book.
You're in the New York Times column.
Yeah, I've written about it in my New York Times column many times.
But they don't hear.
It's not the first time that I make a proposal and they don't do it.
Yeah, but I guess rich people don't like you.
You know, if you ask people, you know, why we shouldn't do that, they have a hard time to explain. I think it's mainly the people who earn the most who are most opposed to higher taxes, and I think they just believe that if they paid higher taxes, it would be harder for them to buy what they want. But that's an error. That's a cognitive error, because if you're wealthy, the things you want, they're all in scarce supply. There aren't enough of them. How do you get them? Suppose you want an apartment with a sweeping view of Central Park above Fifth Avenue. How do you get an apartment like that? Well, other rich people want that same apartment. How do you get it? You have to outbid them. And if your taxes go up and their taxes go up, then the relative bidding power of those people who want the apartment is the exact same as it was before, and so the apartment goes to the same person as before. But I don't think they understand that. I think they think, oh, every time I can think of in my life when I had less money, it was harder to buy what I want. But most of the times they can think of are times when their business had a bad year, they had a divorce, they had an illness, a child was injured, something happened that made their income go down, but everybody else's income, people like them, stayed the same as before. And when that happens, you're not as successful buying what you want. Yes, that's true. But it's very different when your taxes go up, because then everybody's purchasing power goes down a little bit. And the relative purchasing power, which is what matters, is exactly the same as before.
Okay. Why don't we go to question number 10? What is your opinion about the meritocracy?
Yeah, we should put the best people in the most important jobs. Putting Donald Trump's son in an important job would be not a good idea. He has no evidence of any talent or ability to work hard.
Right.
So in systems that promote the sons of the wealthy, we get bad results from that. Allocating jobs by merit is much better.
But do we have any way to stop that?
To stop the wealthy from
Son from father.
Well, the wealthy will always have an advantage, of course, but it doesn't have to be as big as it is now. If the access to healthcare and good schools and other things were more readily available to everyone, then more people from the bottom would compete successfully and rise to the top. And that would be a good thing.
This sounds like a socialism or something like that.
Well, the question is the market distribution of income and spending the best that we could hope for? And the answer is no. That doesn't mean socialism. It just means, governments in every country in the world have social safety nets.
Right.
The U.S. has the weakest safety net of any modern country. And there are very good arguments why rich people, middle-income people, and poor people would be happier if the safety net were stronger. The rich people wouldn't lose anything important, and the people further down would gain much that is important.
In that sense, I guess you don't like big tech companies such as Facebook, Google, Amazon. They have too much, but they don't give people their advantages a lot.
Well, they pay taxes. Maybe they should pay. The corporate income tax is not the best way to raise money, because corporations being successful isn't a harmful thing for society. That's a good thing for society. We should tax harmful activities, and consumption at the very highest level causes harm because it makes other people feel they have to spend more to hold their position, and when everybody spends more, there's no gain for anybody. And that takes money that we could spend in other ways that would make a difference. So it's not that tech companies are bad because they make a lot of money. It's that the the people who earn a lot of money spend their money in ways that don't produce any gain. For once it's exactly analogous to a military arms race where you spend, I spend, you build bombs, I build bombs. We didn't gain anything. So Facebook is troubling in other ways. I mean, they control information in ways that are troubling, but I don't single them out to tax the corporation. Maybe Zuckerberg should be taxed more heavily.
Okay. This number 12 is done, and what do you think about incentives? Number 15. Most economists believe incentives are most effective in inducing.
That's obviously true.
Obviously, yeah.
How could that not be true?
Yeah.
If it's an incentive, that means that's a definition of something that makes you do something.
Yeah.
So I think where economists make a mistake is that they don't understand what the real incentives are for people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about working hard, many economists say, if we raise the tax rate a little bit, people won't work hard. Well, go back to 1880 and say, how hard did people work? They worked many more hours then than they work now. But the wage rate was much, much lower in 1880 than it is in 2018. If higher taxes and lower real wages mean you don't work as hard, why were they working so hard? People work hard to get ahead. And getting ahead, just by definition, is a completely relative concept. I work hard because I want to send my kids to a good school. What's a good school? It's a school that's better than the other schools. And where are these good schools? They're in the neighborhoods where the houses are more expensive. So if I want to get ahead, I got to earn more than others. And it doesn't matter what the tax rate is. I'm going to work hard to succeed no matter what. If the tax rate were 100%, all right, then I'd say, well, it doesn't matter. But the tax rate here used to be 95% at the top.
At the top? 95?
In 1950s, the top incomes above $500,000, which then was a lot of money, were taxed at over 90%.
Really?
For the next dollar you earn above $500,000, 90% went to the government. But they worked hard. You had 40 vice presidents in the company. They all wanted to be the president. How do you get to be the president? You work harder than the other 39 vice presidents.
This is another thing. What do you think about minimum wages? Government should raise minimum wages?
Economists have long been against that.
Right.
If you want to get more money to the low-income people, a much better way to do it is to raise the earned income tax credit. We don't do that.
No.
Because if you do that, you have to raise taxes to pay for it. If you raise the minimum wage, the company raises its price because it and all other companies now have higher costs. They have to cover their costs. They have to raise their prices. And so we pay the same thing as a tax in the form of higher prices to pay for the minimum wage. But it's a lot easier to do that than to get people to raise taxes to pay for the earned income tax credit. So if you tell me you can't raise the earned income tax credit, but you can raise the minimum wage, I say, all right, then raise the minimum wage. We used to worry that would cause people to lose their jobs. The most recent studies seem to say that that's not a serious problem. Places where they raise the minimum wage, we don't see an increase in unemployment in those places.
But some people say that, some people...
There's still argument about it. So it's not the best way to raise incomes for the poor. An even better way to raise incomes for the poor, because if you're poor, maybe you're poor because you don't even have a job. There are many useful public jobs that need to be done. We could just hire people to do useful work. and give them money that way.
But it doesn't last long.
It doesn't last long.
Yeah. Public.
Yeah, you need to clean the parks every day.
Yeah, but
You need to paint the government buildings every day. You need to patch the potholes in the streets every day. It's permanent.
but I don't think most economists don't. I don't think most economists agree with you.
Maybe
Public
not.
job,
Maybe not.
you don't care.
Well, I wish they did.
Okay, let's go to question 16. It's in your book and during the peace call.
Yeah.
But that experience influenced your life.
Oh, it had a profound effect on me. I think much of my writing, as you obviously have seen, is about how relative spending
Yeah, you're right.
is a much more
Yeah.
important predictor of how you feel about things
Yeah,
than
the
and
chance.
than your absolute spending level. And Nepal was then one of the poorest countries in the world, and the material living standard there compared to the U.S. is very, very low. But what was a big surprise to me was that after 2 days, it didn't matter. You know,
No.
the house was small. It wasn't very, very nice by our standards, but by the local standards, it was fine. And I never thought about it being unsatisfactory. I never felt bad about inviting friends over to have a meal or anything of the sort. If you lived in a house like that here, you would be very, very ashamed for your friends to see where you live. So I think most sociologists and others know that that's a reasonable story. They would hear it and they say, yeah, I understand that. Of course, that's true. But I think if you live that for 2 years, you understand it in a deeper way than if you just read about it. So I think for me, living in a really poor country for 2 years made me understand that issue in a way that I don't think I would understand it otherwise.
How about question 7? And you are friends with the head of it?
Yeah.
We-Jae. Actually, I met him 3 months ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
In his office, yeah.
You came here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. This is second time. And are you influenced by him on psychology or?
Oh yeah. He and I are close friends,
Oh, yeah.
and we have done work together. We talk. Yeah, we play tennis regularly all the time.
What do you think about the relation between psychology and economics?
Oh, it's been very fruitful
Yeah.
over the last 30 years. There's been
Yeah.
an enormous amount of exchange of ideas.
So sometimes
The-
economists underestimate psychology. It's not a science or something like that.
Oh, I don't. No, behavioral economics has been the big
Yeah.
growth area in economics, and behavioral economics has borrowed from psychology most of the
I think it's not mainstream economic.
behavioral economics.
Yeah.
It is now.
Is
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Gradually, it has become mainstream.
For a long time, it has been regarded as the minority of economic field.
Yeah, that's
economic
true,
field.
but not any longer. I mean, Richard Thaler won the Nobel
Yeah,
Prize
yeah.
in the fall.
Yeah.
He last fall, a year ago, he won the Nobel Prize. Before him,
The economic-
Kahneman in 2001
Yeah.
won the Nobel Prize. Matthew Rabin won the John Bates Clark
Clark.
Award.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? That's
Yeah,
the
you're right.
award
That's
given
it.
to the
young professors
the best American economist under 40.
Yeah.
And now it's every year. Back then it was every 2 years. And most of the Nobel economist winners are Americans.
Yeah, right.
And so the Clark Award, which was only every 2 years, was a higher honor in many ways than the Nobel Prize. So yeah, that's another indication that it's totally mainstream.
People say that you will, in the future, win the prize.
I'm skeptical
Really?
that anyone would be saying that to you.
In your, yeah.
I certainly never said that.
Really?
Where did
I
you never heard me say that?
yeah, but people say so.
You actually heard someone say that? Well,
I
that,
read
that
in,
would-
in the article.
that would be flattering to hear, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I really would be very surprised
I
to
wish
learn
you would be. I wish. And but you very critical about the conspicuous consumption number 18, and you don't spend money on luxury goods.
I do. No, no, of course I do.
You-
Yeah.
you do.
No, I have a Porsche. And-
Porsche?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I love nice things. But
Mhm.
if everybody spends
Mhm.
freely, then the bar gets higher and higher that defines what a nice thing is, and that's just wasteful. I mean, for people to like nice things, that's normal. You know, everybody likes nice things. But what does nice mean? Nice means good
Yeah.
compared to that.
Yeah, right.
And so we can get the same amount of special, the same amount of nice by spending at this level as we get if we spend at this level. I have the cheapest Porsche.
You have one in your house?
Yeah. It's not the most expensive one, it's the cheapest one.
You feel good when you drive there?
Oh, I love it, yeah.
Well,
Where?
yeah.
Where what?
But the speed limit is around everywhere.
You don't have to go above the speed limit. I mean, it's how fast you get to the speed limit that feels good.
Really?
And going around corners, it's very different in a good car than in a lesser car.
Have you ever bought some Prada or something?
No,
No?
no, those things I have no interest in that.
Really?
Yeah.
How you
No, but ever since childhood, I was very excited about cars. So,
yeah.
and,
It's the only car.
and I had opportunities to
Yeah.
buy a nice car many times and didn't, but then finally I did.
Oh, number 19. That's in the financial market. In the field, luck is important also.
Sure, it's important. Yeah,
Yeah.
half the investors do above average. The other half do below average.
But they saying that they have some instinct and some.
And some probably do. I mean,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett
Yeah.
has succeeded pretty
Yeah.
consistently,
Yeah.
but he doesn't do anything fancy. He follows pretty simple rules. But yeah, there are many people who have complicated formulas, and you know the people who hire those people to manage their money, they do worse than if they just put their money in an index fund.
All things are decided by luck. What should we do? What should we do? And just work hard and
Yeah, well,
wait for luck coming.
yeah, you should be ready to seize your luck when it comes. Yeah. If you don't work
Okay, I
hard,
know.
you're not going to succeed.
How do I know the moment?
You have to learn to recognize opportunities. Yeah, the experience counts. You try and you fail, and you try something else and you succeed a little bit, and that steers you in a better direction, maybe.
But I'm saying that you don't be disappointed that luck is not coming.
If you think about luck the way I do, it's something that's beyond your control. Some people spot opportunities better than others. I would call that skill. That's not luck. In the end, maybe it's all luck. Who has skill and who doesn't? Well, what explains why some people are skillful? Well, they had good genes from their parents.
Yeah.
They were raised in a productive way by their parents.
That's luck, yeah.
They were lucky if that happened.
Don't invite that.
Don't invite them.
Yeah. Invite. Don't be envious of them.
Yeah, don't envy them. Right. Yeah. No, they're lucky, but it's a waste of time to envy anything.
Wow, this So, yeah, everybody wants love, but it's very few gets the love.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody.
You're one of the few.
Everybody gets some luck.
You are
Yeah.
one of the few.
Get and be grateful for whatever luck you get. That's we know that being grateful makes people happier.
Your theory affects your attitude.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, half empty means the same thing as half full.
Mm.
They have exactly the same meaning, but
Yeah, well.
if you think half full, that feels very different from thinking half empty.
Do you have a religion?
No,
No.
no. My mother was very spiritual,
Uh-huh.
and I think it was a very good thing for her, but that never felt available to me.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have 4 sons.
4 sons. Wow. 4 sons. Yeah. All boys.
All boys.
Do you teach them your theory?
Oh, I mean, I talk to them about
Yeah.
their choices, sure.
Yeah. Are they?
They're not economists, any of them.
Have they been lucky so far?
I would say,
Yeah.
yeah. They're very good
They all
people.
grown up. Yeah.
Yeah, the youngest is 29.
Wow. They are. Are they living with you? I don't know.
No, the oldest will be 50 in January. He lives in Boulder, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Next down, he'll be 48 in February. He lives in Boston,
Uh-huh.
and then 32 and 29.
Have you ever experienced a bad thing or bad luck? Or,
Oh, sure.
yeah. Could you tell me?
In the book, I talk about dying on the tennis court.
Yeah, right.
That's
It's a-
yeah. I was lucky.
That's the example of your luck.
I was lucky to survive,
Yeah.
but unlucky to have died. So that's a good example of glass half full or glass half empty. It's more fun to think about how lucky I was that I didn't stay dead than to think about how unlucky I was to have died in the first place.
Okay. This time's up, almost up. Yeah, right. Thank you for your time.
So
today.
what is this for? It's for a Korean daily?
Yeah, Korean Daily is our paper has the just leading Korean newspaper.
Yeah.
And your interview will be published in our economic section.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you live in Seoul,
Yeah.
but your wife lives in Lehigh, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, right.
So how do you connect?
Yeah. Just Skype.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Skype. By
And
Skype.
do you travel back and forth often?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Yeah, that's difficult life. We call it some like bird name. I don't know. Is it? She has been in the States since 2010.
Oh.
Well, it's a long time.
And you were married even then?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
No
that's
kid-
why.
you have kids?
Yeah, 2 kids is in the States.
And they're here.
Yeah.
So you don't see them either.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm not lucky.
So maybe you need to find something to do here.
Yeah, right. Okay, I need to take a picture of you, and if
Okay.
you don't mind.
No, that's
Okay,
all right.
okay. Could you stand up, please? What's that?
What's what?
That's the whole
This here?
Yeah.
Just something I bought one day at a.
What's the picture? Is you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's in Dharamsala.
Wow. This one.
That's my wife.
Wow, your wife.
Yeah.
Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama. Yeah. I spent a week there.
How did you meet him?
He writes books,
Uh-huh.
and when he writes a book, he has a friend in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
He says, "Can you organize a group to come and talk to me about whatever the subject he's writing about?" And so I was invited to go there for 1 week to talk to him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very.
How was that?
Oh, it was unbelievable. Yeah, he's really quite extraordinary as a person.
Yeah. Okay, you can stand, please. Yeah. Okay. Why don't you sit like this? Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. Perfect. Could you smile? Okay. Let's check. Okay. Just give me one more favor.
Okay.
You sit down and talk with hands.
Talk with my hands.
Yeah, talk some gestures and yeah, that's for the interview. And just tell me a little bit more about Dalai Lama.
The Dalai Lama is he's obviously very smart, but he's also
Smart?
yeah, but he's also very funny.
Funny.
He likes to laugh, and he.
Do you believe in the rebirth of Dalai Lama?
Do I believe that? No, I suppose not.
Mhm.
But there have been 14 Dalai Lamas,
Yeah,
and,
right,
and only 2 of them were good. The other 12 were not good leaders. So the idea that you choose your leader that way, in general, probably not a good thing. But they were lucky with him.
Okay, thanks, done. I'm done today.
Okay.
Okay. It's so nice meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you.
See you.
Is this the new edition in Korean?
It's the same edition, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just got it.
Yeah.
They sent me
yeah.
some copies of it.
Yeah.
I got them over there.
Could you sign? Yeah, for me. I'm sorry for bugging you. That's mine. And there.
I got a pen.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, here. It's a book.
Wei Lee, W-A-I.
Oh, yeah.
L-E.
I forgot. Give you my name. Oh.
Is that how you pronounce it? Wei Lee?
We-Jae. W-E-J-A-E.
We-Jae. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
W-E-J-A-E.
With a dash in the middle?
No.
In your email, you have a dash between them.
Yeah. Dash. Oh, yeah, right. It doesn't matter.
W-E-J-E.
W-E-J-A-E. That's my name card. Yeah. This is mine. W-E-J-A.